As well. And joining us now is former federal prosecutor and president of West Coast Trial Lawyers, Neama Rahmani. Good morning, Neama. Thank you for being here.
Kelvin, thanks for having me as always.
All right, well, let's get into this. Obviously, a lot of eyes are going to be on this. We're talking about jury selection starting today. How do you expect this process to play out in this is a huge trial? Many people, again, as I mentioned, are watching.
Kelvin, everyone's heard about this case. Maybe going to be the trial of the century, one of the biggest cases since Johnny Depp, maybe even since OJ. So we have about 600 potential jurors in that New York courtroom. And even though it's called jury selection, it's really jury deselection. The judge is going to start first, and he's going to strike jurors that he believes can't be fair and impartial. And then the parties get their opportunity to ask questions. And of course, the prosecution is going to want to remove any Diddy fans or anyone that they think might want to be stealth jurors to get on that panel, maybe write a book about the case. And of course, the defense is going to want jurors that are going to be favorable, skeptical about Me Too and victims of sexual assault. So that process is going to play out this week, and we should start the trial next week on Monday.
All right. Well, obviously, there's so many people are familiar with him, over 30 years of music. It's going to be interesting to see how folks are selected. And let me go to this one, Neama. Diddy turned down a plea deal just 10 days ago. Do you believe that is a smart move? Does the defense have a strong shot at winning this case? Is that what he believes?
I think Diddy is not going to want to spend time in prison. I don't think it was a good move. I think the prosecution has a very strong case here, and I think that case is going to be based on star witness Cassie Ventura. She was with Diddy for more than a decade, and let's not forget, Diddy denied all these allegations, even after she filed her lawsuit, even after his homes here in Los Angeles and Miami were raided. But we've all seen that video from 2016 of the Intercontinental Hotel in Century City, where Diddy has hand on one towel and he's beating her with his foot, with his hand. He's punching, he's kicking her. He threw a vase on her. So I think the video evidence in this case will be strong. That's the only video we've seen so far, but I expect there to be a lot more, because if you believe Cassie Ventura, and I do, Diddy reportedly videotaped many of these freak-offs, and I expect those videos to come into evidence.
Let me play maybe the defense side of things and ask, the judge is allowing this infamous tape that we're talking about, that CNN was able to obtain about what you're talking about, that hotel incident. How does that work? Was the defense trying to kick this tape out of things? How was it able to be used in this case?
Well, the defense is arguing that it's been altered and it's been sped up. But I think we all have eyes and we can see something pretty horrific happening. And Cassie says that she was trying to escape from a freak-off at the hotel. And I don't think she's going to be the only victim. We know there are additional victims who are going to testify. And even if jurors have a tough time, Kelvin, believing the testimony of one victim, when victim after victim is telling the same story of physical and sexual violence, that's going to be too much for the jurors to overcome. And in addition to the victims, I expect members of Diddy's entourage to testify, because I don't think it was Combs himself who was calling these women, these sex workers, and procuring them. We have members of his entourage who are doing so, people that were getting hotel rooms, setting up lights and cameras. Again, all this was recorded, which makes it different from your typical sexual assault case.
And Neama, how long would you expect a trial like this to last? We've seen where things can go from anywhere from months to years. And how likely do you believe it is that Diddy would be found guilty in this and then spend the rest of his life behind bars?
I think the trial will probably last 3 to 4 weeks. Federal judges tend to move things pretty quickly. I think the prosecution case will take about 3 weeks. I think the defense will take about 1 week. And the reason the defense is so much shorter is their case is going to be based entirely on cross-examination, trying to undermine and discredit these victims, because many of them didn't raise these allegations for years, sometimes decades after the fact. And the defense is going to argue that this was all fabricated for one of 3 reasons: money, fame, or revenge. I do think the government will ultimately prevail here, but we'll know a lot more once these victims take the stand next week.
All right. Well, as we mentioned at the top, a lot of people are going to be watching this for sure. Neama Rahmani, former federal prosecutor and president of West Coast Trial Lawyers, thank you so much for your time and insight. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Kevin. Talk soon.